Hi all. Today we are discussing the Unit 6 Metabolism of Proteins. So, in the metabolism of proteins, we will see how the metabolism, the basic metabolism of the protein has been taking place, and the biosynthesis and breakdown of hemoglobin, and finally the biosynthesis of protein. So, in the case of a protein metabolism, actually it involves three steps. First one is the removal of amino group, metabolism of ammonia, and metabolism of a carbon skeleton. So first one is the removal of amino group. So under the removal of amino group, it consists of a three step. One is transamination, deamination, and a trans-deamination. So what do you mean by the transamination? Transamination is nothing. It is a process by which amino groups are removed from amino acids and transferred to acceptor keto acids to generate the amino acid version of the keto acid and keto acid version of the original amino acids. For clear understanding, here I gave an example. So this is the alpha amino group acid. This is the R1 group. So here you can see the amino group here, and this is the alpha keto acid here, the keto group. So this is R1 and the R2 group. One is amino acid, another is keto acid. So when these two acids combine together, we will here some change in the place of amino group and the ketone group has taken place. So in R1, the amino group is replaced by the ketone, and in R2, it is replaced by the amino group. So a new keto acid and new amino acid is formed. So this is what we call the transamination. Now next is deamination. So in the deamination procedure, the amino group of the molecule is transferring here. So in this picture, you can see here this is the amine group. So in the presence of L-amino acid oxidase, the enzyme, it will catalyzes this amino acid into the alpha amino acid, and here a double bond in along with the carbon there is a two double bond, and NH has been given. One hydrogen atom will be liberated in the form of a water, and ammonia is also liberated here. Okay, so this is the removal of the amino group is happen here. So that is what we call the deamination. Now next is trans-deamination. Trans-deamination is a combination of both the deamination and the transamination. So that is what we call the trans-deamination. So in the first process, transamination is taking place. That is the removal of the amino group is done here, and after transamination, this is converted into alpha glutaric acid. So by the libration of an amino group, and here it forming a alpha keto glutaric acid. So next is decarboxylation. Decarboxylation is the removal of carbon dioxide from an amino acid with the presence of enzyme called decarboxylase and the cofactor pyridoxal phosphate. So here one amino acid is converting into amine group. So here the carbon dioxide, the removal of the carboxyl group is happened here. It is liberated in the form of a carbon dioxide. So this is an example given here for the decarboxylation process. So next is urea cycle. So normally in the amino acid metabolism, from the as a result of this amino acid, a lot of ammonia will be producing in the body. But this ammonia is a toxic substances to our body. So it is not excreted by our body. So this ammonia will be converted into urea. This urea is a non-toxic substances, and it will be easily excreted from the body. So the urea cycle is here. A carbon dioxide and ammonia will first combine together in the presence of enzyme called carbamyl phosphatase synthase, and it will be converted into a new compound called the carbamyl phosphate. Now this carbamyl phosphate will combine with another amino acid called ornithine, and this ornithine will converted into citrulline in the enzyme presence of enzyme called ornithine carbamyl transferase, and this another enzyme called arginosuccinate synthase that will catalyzes the citrulline to the arginosuccinate. So another compound is also involved in this step, that is L-aspartate. And this arginosuccinate will be converted into L-arginine with the help of enzyme called arginosuccinate lysase. So here one L-fumarate will be liberated. Now the arginine will be converted into L-ornithine in the presence of enzyme called the arginase. And here the urea will liberated, and this urea is a non-toxic substances and that will easily excreted from the body through the urine. So this is how the urea cycle works. Now moving to the next part, this is the synthesis of hemoglobin. So we know hemoglobin actually, the hemoglobin is a consists of three components. One is protoporphyrin 9 globin, that is the protein part of the hemoglobin, and iron, and that is in the ferrous iron. Ferrous iron is present in the hemoglobin. So this is the three components of that hemoglobin. Now we will see how the synthesis of heme taking place. Actually, the synthesis of heme taking place in the mitochondria and cytoplasm. First, a few steps are happen in the mitochondria of the cell. So here, the first is succinyl CoA and the glycine combined together, and for this process, it will be liberating CoASH in the presence of a delta amino levulinate synthase, it forming a delta amino levulinate, and this will converted into two molecule of a alpha amino levulinate, and by the liberation of four molecules of water, this reaction is which is catalyzed by the enzyme called a delta amino levulinate dehydratase, in forming new compound called a porphobilinogen. So this porphobilinogen is again converted into 4-porphobilinogen, and here four molecules of amino is liberating, and the enzyme it is converting into a new compound called uroporphyrinogen 3. In the enzyme called uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase and uroporphyrinogen 3 co-synthase. So here four molecules of carbon dioxide is liberating here. Now this uroporphyrinogen 3 is converted into co-porphyrinogen 3 in the presence of enzyme called uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase. It converted into protoporphyrinogen 3, and again four molecules of carbon dioxide liberated here. The enzyme which catalyzes this step is a co-porphyrinogen oxidase, and this protoporphyrinogen 3 is converting into protoporphyrin 9, and here 4 hydrogen ions will be liberating here. So this step is catalyzed by the enzyme called a protoporphyrinogen oxidase, and this protoporphyrin 9 will converted into heme. So here the ferrous ion is also involved in this process with the enzyme called a ferrochelatase. So this heme will finally combine with the globin. Globin is a 2 alpha 2 beta chain, and the heme plus globin will forming the hemoglobin. So this is how the synthesis of a heme, and finally this heme is how combined with that of the globin to forming final hemoglobin. Now we will see how the breakdown of the hemoglobin. So as we know, this RBC, red blood cell containing the hemoglobin, when this heme is splitted, the hemoglobin is splitted, it will be forming one globin part and heme part. So globin is a protein part, and that will used for the synthesis of amino acids. Now the here heme, the heme containing the ferrous ions, in the this ferrous ions will enter into the liver in the presence of enzyme called the transferrin, and this again will be released into the blood with the help of enzyme called a transferrin, and enters into the bone marrow for the production of RBC, that is erythropoiesis. So here again this ferrous ion will combine along with the globin, vitamin B12, and erythropoietin, finally to forming that of the RBC. So that is the one pathway of uh, the heat. But the this is how the ferrous ion again resynthesis for the synthesis of the RBC. Okay, now this heme will be converted into another compound called the biliverdin, which is a green in color. and this biliverdin is again reduced to forming the bilirubin. The bilirubin is a not hydrophilic, so what happens here is the bilirubin will combine with the albumin and forming and it will liberated into the released into the blood, and it enters into the liver, and this bilirubin will be excreted again through the bile fluid, which is the secretion of the bile. Now this bilirubin will enters into the intestine. So here this bilirubin is a yellow pigment. Uh, it is a yellow in color because it contains a yellow pigment, and so there in the intestine there are bacterial microflora. So that bilirubin will oxidizes this bacterial microflora will oxidizes the bilirubin into the urobilinogen, and this urobilinogen will be reabsorbed. Not all urobilinogen will be reabsorbed. Some will be excreted from the blood, from the body through the urine. So this urobilinogen will enters into the kidney and converted into urobilin, which is yellow in color. So it will be excreted from the body in the form of a urine. So that's why your urine appears in the yellow in color. Now this urobilinogen will again converted into stercobilin. Stercobilin is another pigment which is excreted from our body through the fecus. So this is how the breakdown of the hemoglobin has taken place. Now this diagram represents the bile pigment metabolism. So the same thing what I discussed in the previous slide here. This is how this hemoglobin will reduce to biliverdin and bilirubin. So this is how the uh, bilirubin will enters into the liver. That is, as I told you, this bilirubin will combine with the albumin and it enters into the liver, and it conjugated with the glucuronic acid and enters into the gallbladder, bile duct, and it again enters into the intestine. From there, the bilirubin again reduced to biliverdin and urobilinogen, and some will be excreted through the fecus, and urobilinogen will secreted through that of the urine, and some of the this biliverdin will be reabsorbed, and they will also excreted from the body in the form of a urine. So this is how this bilirubin will be conjugated in the liver cells. So in the liver, once the bilirubin enter, there's for the conjugation process, the UDP glucose in the presence of enzyme called UDP glucose dehydrogenase. So for this process, it requires two NAD. It converted into to NAD plus NADH plus hydrogen ions, and here it forming UDP glucuronic acid. So this UDP glucuronic acid will be combined with the bilirubin and forming bilirubin monoglucuronide and UDP in the presence of enzyme called UDP glucuronyl transferase. Now this bilirubin monoglucuronide and UDP GA will converted into bilirubin diglucuronide and UDP in the presence of enzyme called UDP glucuronyl transferase to bilirubin monoglucuronidase converted into bilirubin diglucuronide plus bilirubin in the presence of enzyme called the dismutase. So this is how the bilirubin conjugation has taken place in liver cells. So now the bilirubin in intestine, how these reductive changes has been taking place. So the bilirubin glucuronide will be split into glucuronic acid and bilirubin. The presence of enzyme called beta glucuronidase, and this bilirubin will again convert to dihydrobilirubin, then form mesobilirubinogen, and this will be again split into two compound. One is the urobilinogen and L-stercobilinogen, and this will be excreted in the form of excreted through the fecus, and here urobilinogen will be oxidized and forming urobilin 9A that will be excreted through the kidney. Now we will see the biosynthesis of protein. Actually, the biosynthesis of the protein has two phases. One is transcription, that is DNA is used to make mRNA. So in the transcription is the first phase of the biosynthesis of protein where the DNA strand is used to make the mRNA. And the second is a translation where the mRNA is normally used to make the protein. So this is how the DNA is converted to protein. So the in first step transcription, these are the various steps. Normally the transcription process is occurs in the nucleus. So here the process include in the transcriptions where the first DNA strand will read to create a single strand mRNA. So that will take the genetic code out to the nucleus to the ribosome. So that is that process is taking place inside the nucleus, and after the mRNA is formed, that will take the genetic code out to that of the nucleus. The first step is an enzyme called RNA polymerase that will enters into the nucleus, and this RNA polymers will be bind inside the cell. There is a DNA will be there, so that will bind to the DNA at a specific sequence that is called the promoter site. So that particular site, this RNA polymerase will bind with the DNA. Now the step 3 include that from that particular point, the DNA strands will be separated where this mRNA RNA polymerase come to attach. So here, slowly the DNA is a double stranded as we know. So this DNA strands will be slowly separated. Now the RNA polymerase will be moves along that of the DNA strands, and it add RNA nucleotide. So that here that thymine in the DNA is replaced by the uracil. In the step 5, the RNA polymerase will stop. Now, at the point will reach where the RNA polymerase should stop its process. So that is the terminator site of the DNA, and the messenger RNA or mRNA molecule is complete now. Now the step 6 is mRNA should leave the nucleus and it will enter the cytoplasm of cell for the next phase. Now, the next phase is called the translation. So, now we know the translation is taking place in the cytoplasm at the ribosome. So, what is translation means? Here, the codons on messenger RNA that will signal a specific amino acid in order to create a protein molecule. In first step, the mRNA will travels to the ribosome, and how the process will initiate is like that. There will be a start codon which is called AUG. That is the start codon. AUG codon is called the start codon. So that is normally found in mRNA strand, and so that will be the that will be initiated by that of the tRNA. Now, without the initiator of tRNA, the process cannot be in. So that initiating process has been done with the tRNA. Now, step 3 is elongation. This tRNA pair with the codons of mRNA, bringing with them the correct amino acid. So, this tRNA will bring an amino acid to the concerned codons. So, that is how they are starting this pair. Now, step 4, the tRNA will release when amino acid is released. So, once the amino acid released, the tRNA will be released from that codon. Now the step 5 is the peptide chain is elongated when the amino acid from the peptide bond. Now the elongation will continue until the polypeptide is complete. Now the process need to be terminated. Now that for the particular termination process also another codon will be there, a stop codon. So there is a start codon for initiating the process, and for stopping the process there will be a stop codon. So that stop codon is called UAG, UAA and UGA. So that is what we call the stop codon. So when the tRNA read the stop codon on the mRNA, the termination is completed. So after the stop codon is read, the polypeptide is released from the ribosome. So once the stop codon read, what happened is the polypeptide is released from that of the ribosome. Now the polypeptide fold up or may join other polypeptide to form a larger protein molecule. So this is how the protein biosynthesis has been taking place. Um, I hope you will get a very vague idea about what is the process. For the clarity or for the clear understanding of how the process has been taken place, I'm just giving another YouTube link which clearly shows you how the whole process has been done. So that's all for today. So please go through the video also. So thank you for now.